I first started singing when I was 5 or 6 years old when I joined my local parish choir, but it's only the last 5 years that I've been singing full time. My biggest inspiration in singing was a man called Martin Howe, who was a great conductor and a great motivator, and he really set me off on the singing track. A lot of the religious and sacred music texts are Latin texts. Also we sing in German and French and sometimes in Spanish, Russian, Hebrew. So there's a lot of different languages in the mix, and quite often we have translations to help us understand what these texts mean. I speak French myself and a bit of Spanish, so I have a bit of an understanding there. Most of the singing work that I do takes place in churches or cathedrals or concert halls or theatres, and I'm lucky with the work that I do to travel quite a lot when I'm singing. Some of the stranger venues that I've sung in are a greenhouse. I've sung on the 82nd floor of a skyscraper. I've also performed a concert on the end of a pier, and 2 concerts in Birmingham with Ex Cathedra, one that took place in a car park stairwell, and also one that took place in a disused chemical factory. The most interesting musical experience I've had as a performer is a performance of Stockhausen's Stimmung, which is a piece for 6 singers, which involves microphones and lots of humming and trying to make vocal overtones and reciting of German erotic poetry, all sat on cushions on a stage. It's a concept piece. It's not a question of telling a story like a lot of singing that we do is. It's about delivering a text, delivering a theme. This was more sort of experimental. Most of the singing work that I do requires me simply to stand with my copy and sing out, sometimes singing from memory, singing out. But other groups that I work with require bits of choreography, bits of acting. For instance, if I'm singing some close harmony arrangements with a smaller group, we might have a bit of sort of interplay between us, sort of looking at each other, laughing, sharing a joke as we're singing, you know, a bit of characterization, if you like. So it varies. Generally speaking, it's a question of simply standing there and singing out. My favourite piece of music to sing is Elgar's Dream of Gerontius, which is a piece that Ex Cathedra worked on in great depth a couple of years ago. I'd say my favourite performance of all time was a concert I did in Durham Cathedral with a choir from America, the choir of St Thomas Fifth Avenue. I just remember being absolutely sort of shivers down the back of the spine for that concert and really exhilarated by the end of the performance. I think there are lots of opportunities for people to sing these days, whether it's in a school choir or a church choir or a community choir. These things are all over the place, and you can find a lot of information about these places online or in the library or whatever. You can find out about how to go about getting involved with choirs, and choirs are always looking for singers to recruit and to become part of their circle. I'm very lucky to be involved with Ex Cathedra, who are a Birmingham-based choir, and they've been running now for 40 years under the direction and guidance of a man called Geoffrey Skidmore.
I'm the artistic director and conductor of Ex Cathedra, which is a chamber choir based in Birmingham. But it's much more than a chamber choir. We do education projects, we work with orchestras. We explore music written for the voice in all its forms.
It's a choir which is mixed, amateur and professional.
I work with them separately, usually on most projects. Work with the amateurs and with the professionals, and then bring them together. And the two inform and support each other. And it is quite interesting that I think the professionals get as much out of the experience as the amateurs. They just bring different things. But the amateurs are so good, but they've got proper jobs, as it were, rather than being a musician. And so it works quite well. And there's no ill feeling about professional amateurs. There's a good atmosphere.
Ex Cathedra has a very large mix of ranges of ages and careers in its ranks. So from the age of sort of 8 to 18, and beyond that we've got people who are in their 60s and possibly in their 70s, I don't know. But a mix of professions. We've got lots of teachers, some doctors, lawyers, photographers, so a real mix of personnel, and that's what makes the choir so interesting. I've had lots of support from my friends and family in pursuing my career as a singer. Quite often as a singer you get asked, what else do you do for a living? But I'm happy to say that this is my only job. And people think it's a risky business to take on. You know, it's in this sort of climate, there are cutbacks and the arts tend to suffer. But I'm glad to say that, you know, it's something I have a passion for doing, and I want to carry on doing that. And my friends and family will support me through that, and they come and hear my concerts, they come and listen to the radio when I'm on that, and it's all very positive.
I suppose I'm always looking for a beautiful voice. That's number one. If they haven't got a beautiful voice, I'm not quite so interested. But on top of that, they can read well, they're very reliable on notes, they've got a strong voice, they've got a voice that blends very well. These days, you know, it's changed over 40 odd years, but now people write usually into the office and ask for an audition. And we do 2 days audition every term, so we're auditioning a lot of people.
When I decided to become a freelance singer, I sent off my CV to Ex Cathedra and heard nothing more until maybe 3 months later, when suddenly somebody had pulled out of a concert and I was phoned at short notice to say, can you come and do a concert today for us?
Ashley's fantastic. See, I mean, he's so accommodating, he's so skilled at what he does. He takes everything on board, he's always there to help, he's always there to support and give advice if I want some advice. No, he is the model professional singer. I mean, totally reliable, got a beautiful voice, perfect pitch, it's amazing.
I think Jeffrey had a recommendation from a singing colleague of mine who said you should get in touch with this guy, he's great, and you can take it from there. And ever since that concert I've been asked to do pretty much everything that Ex Cathedra does.
In Ashley's case, it was, I think, someone said, Ashley, you'll like Ashley, he's really very good. So I just asked him to come and sing in the concert. I don't think he actually auditioned.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, the first time I sang with him was the day of the concert, yeah.
Final control over who we use as amateurs and professionals and students. So I audition and I choose who is the right person for the job. You know, and it's the way to do it. You can't do these things by committee, otherwise it just doesn't work.
I think the perception of people that are involved in choirs is generally a positive thing, that people that appreciate the effort that goes into preparing for a concert and the opportunity to meet and work with other people. And there's been a lot of coverage of choirs and the social aspect of choirs in recent times on the television, with Gareth Malone's projects where he's been into airports and hospitals to work with groups of people that don't necessarily sing, just to encourage them to sort of come together and perform together, and that's really sort of changed their outlook on a lot of aspects of their own lives. What I will do before actual performance is sort of do a bit of humming or some vocalising, some vowel sounds or some scales, just to sort of get things flowing again, because sometimes a 2-hour gap between rehearsal and performance is quite a long time. But you've got to make sure that your voice is in good health. The voice is, you know, your instrument, your tool, it's your means of earning a living, so you have to take care of it. So I've been very fortunate to be involved with Ex Cathedra, and I hope to carry on singing with them for the rest of my life, really. I probably won't be a professional singer for the rest of my life, but once I stop being professional, I'd like to carry on with them as an amateur and enjoy singing for the rest of my life.